interesting week. I was just reading in Bloomberg, you might want to go online and read the story, what's happened to the short open interest, be it in stocks, the indices, and basically put, this has been a strong November. I know you're going to look behind me at the board and say, what are you talking? I can see the DIA's down, SPY, QQQ, the others, the market feels heavy, it's got problems. Yeah, well, it's up about 8% in some of the indices. So take another look and you'll get a feel for what's going on there. I want to remind you also of something else. I want you to do me two favors before I get going. If you like these videos, click afterwards. Say, I like it. If you don't like it, I understand. A lot of people may not, and the heck with it. You shouldn't come back and watch them. If you do come back. If you have comments, you can write them to me. I'm not able to answer every comment, and the reason is a lot of you will say, Ira, should I buy this or sell that? I'm a registered futures broker, and as such, I cannot say in a public forum, and this is a public forum, not a private forum like my subscriber videos or when I get my webinar. My webinar is not a public forum. Why? Because you need a password and a user ID to get into it. Got it? It's not open to the general public, and I limit who can come into it and the invites and so on. But I can't say, hey, buy this, sell that. I'm barred from it. Not that I don't want to. I'm not bashful if you know anything. But come to our webinar this week. And in the webinar this week, and we're going to have that on Monday, and it's at noon. And I've sent the invite out. If you're in my mailing list, you've got it. Don't go to the website and try to get it. You can't get it there. You've got to be sent an invite. Again, the regulators and what I'm doing, I want to control what this is. If you haven't received an invite, you just call our office, talk to one of my staff, they'll make sure that you get the invite, but you better do it no later than in the morning of Monday. All right, so let's talk about where we're at on the charts and do it by looking at the charts. Here's our tech sector. And as you can see, there's been price distribution. You know, you hear about those letters W's and so on. And we've heard about that in the recovery of the economy. Down, up, down. The higher leg, that's the W formation. I mean, that's what they're talking about. It's in front of you, and sometimes people don't bring those things up. I like to. What about when I put on the swing line on the chart? The swing line is an indicator I wrote. And I wrote it so that easily I can look at a chart and determine, is it in an uptrend, downtrend, or no trend? If it is in an uptrend, what's the risk associated with being long? If I'm short, the risk associated with being that way, and I have no interest in no trend. In this case, the definition, at least of an uptrend, is higher lows, higher highs. There are 5 rules that determine where on the line it goes to, this high or low. 5 rules, they're taught in my charting course. When you're on our website for anything, just go under education and you can read about the charting course and everything else. I strongly recommend people take it. So the trend is up. Let's filter this. I filter it with moving averages. To me, the most important moving average on any chart is the 18. From there, and that could be the week, the month, the day. From there, I look at the 100, you know that everybody looks at that, and the 200. Now, a lot of people look at the 21-day, a lot of people look at a 45, a 50-day. To your heart's content. I go with what I believe, and this to me is the one that I like the most. That tells me in an uptrend that the support is back at 116.09. Control by the bull is lost if the market gets under 109.57, trend up. Where should the bulls have come out? Against the upper Bollinger Band, and I think they did. Where do I think they buy back? Right at that number, as long as the market's not overbought. Is it? Let's go to this. It is not. The slow stochastic moves either pointing up, down, sideways, and can get overbought, oversold, or lock in what's called embedded. Embedded occurs when the 2 numbers that make it up, the red and the blue, called the K and a D line, go sideways over 80 for several weeks or more. Now, when that number's lost, like it was here, it's a sign, and it often happens before prices break, often, not always, that momentum has been lost, the market's going to retreat. And to me, the line in the sand, as I call it on a chart, is that 18-week average. It's from there that over and over you will see the market fights to figure out what to do next. Fights what to do next. When I take a look at the XLI, you're over the upper Bollinger Band. What are the odds of staying over it? 5% of the time. But when you get consecutive closes, I subtract each consecutive close over that 5%. So I take away the first one, the first day, now the second. Gives me 3% chance of staying over it this coming week, or a 97% chance it's going to pull to the right-hand side. Well, that's valuable information to me. What about what's happening right here with the slow stochastics? Are they embedded? Both numbers were over 80 at the close of the week. Last week, both numbers were over 80, 2 in a row, not 3 in a row. See that? October 30th, no. Let's come back here. November 6th, first week. This week, the 13th. And this one. So 1, 2, 3. Are we embedded? Yeah. So it tells me that on pullbacks into this 18-week average, I'm looking to be, for the pros, to be a buyer. I have another moving average that I put on these charts for my subscriber. And it gets you into the market typically ahead of this number, typically. And that is the one that I use for the entry spot. I don't show you everything in these free videos. Become a subscriber, you get everything. When you look at my energy sector, well, lower low, suddenly a higher high. Remember we just talked about an embedded reading? Here's the market embedded. Here you lose the embedded reading. Admittedly, it went right to that line in the sand like that. Often that's not the case. You'll get a small delay, but didn't in this case. And away you go. Now what's the market? Well, it's not trending. You have a lower low, higher high, but it's certainly working off an oversold condition. Trend at this point, questionable. QQQ, what's the trend here? Bullish. Higher lows, higher highs. What do I think? I think given a break between here and the 18-day average, the pros are looking to be buyers with stops under 266.97, looking to get back to the Bollinger Band. What about EFA, the emerging markets? Well, we now have 2 weeks in a row of up and over that number. We're also overbought. As much as I am bullish this market, and I see what's going on, I see that the 18-week moving average wants to get over the 200 week. I see the 100's going to take time to do that, but it's bending that way. This could be, in fact, back here was probably the low. Now this is turning out to be a trade bottom low in the market, in my opinion, but would I ever tell a trader to buy over a Bollinger Band? Let me share that with you. 0. Slap me across the face if I do it. It would be an accident. GLD. Oversold, no trend, higher high, lower low, looking for the market to find what? If somebody's short on other systems, I'd look for the Bollinger Band. That Bollinger Band's watched by a lot of systems. Resistance 188, nothing there. GDX, the market is what? It gave up its everything when it did that. You have a higher high, lower low. You never had an uptrend. You fought at the 18-week average, and you're still now dropping away. You're oversold for the first time under that Bollinger Band. I think the pros are going to lift their money, but there's nothing bullish for those of you that are looking for gold, be it the gold miners or the gold itself, that is bullish on these charts. SLV, is it going to be pulled down with this, or is it going to join the copper market and the platinum, which are soaring to the upside? That becomes the question. Any move on a weekly chart under 2192 turns this analysis bearish and calls for a potential move back to wherever the Bollinger Band comes in. Don't take out 2192 and just close over 2352. I think the market turns bullish. You're at a very interesting spot. I recorded my silver report and I said you need to get this market staying over that number. Haven't done it yet. Remember, I did that 2 weeks ago and that's where you're at. So I'm waiting for that trigger on SLV. It hasn't done it. TLT. You have the lower lows. You had this one rally up here that's interesting, and again, so I'm going to call the market not trending. A lower low and a higher high. Momentum turning up, maybe making a run back here to the 18-day average of closes, 163.10. FXE, what do we have on this? A lower low, higher high. Interesting as can be there. Not a trend. What would give this market a trend? Don't take out this week's low. That's the whole thing. I don't care where it closes. That would give you higher lows and a higher high, give you the uptrend. That's the whole key that I'm seeing. And last couple of charts here, jets. You're still over the upper Bollinger Band. I see sideways action that's in the thralls of a breakout. Is it going to be able to run? Well, we know that if there's a targeted relief bill in Congress, airlines have said to be in that. It would be a very big disappointment if they're not. I think their stocks were coming alive, and I know a lot of people want to travel for Thanksgiving. We hope they don't. We'll see if they do. This outbreak's nothing to mess with. You've got the higher highs. You're not in a trend. You have a lower low, higher high, but I see a base in this market until I'm proven wrong. And my last chart's DBA. Now this is the ag fund, and you should be looking at this. You know, one of the commodity plays that you hear from all your so-called experts is commodities this year. Well, we'll be looking very hard to see how the grain markets do in South America right now. It's crucial. We're expecting bumper crops, but what degree? The world consumption is large, and we could, for the first time, if there's problems there, get markets that really take off again. I told traders this week that this should be the resistance point. Let's see if I'm right. I think the smart money took money off the table this week at that number. Remember my live webinar Monday. Your first invites, if you're in my mailing list, were sent Saturday morning. Go in there. It could be in your junk mail. You have to sign up. Seating is very limited, so you can't come at the last minute and probably think you're going to get in. My guess is you won't. If you didn't get an invite and you think you should have, call my staff Monday morning. We'll make sure that you get an invite. I can't guarantee your seating until the webinar opens. But at this point, we're about 2/3 full already. We'll probably fill up the rest of this right now. I'm Ira Epstein. You have a great weekend. Talk to you later. My baby, my little boy, my sleeping partner.